Hey guys, I got my Evil Dead Secret Lair in, and you know what that means? No. That means we can go ahead and build Linda, Kandarian Queen, as a commander. I'm super excited about this. I am a huge Evil Dead fan, and I've been waiting a long time. I mean, since MagicCon Vegas, really, but I've waiting a long time to build Linda, Kandarian Queen, as a commander. I told you guys in the last video I was going to do it. I went ahead and got the deck and paper. Done plenty of testing, and I tell you what, I have built something you guys are going to really enjoy. In addition to that, I'm going to explain who Linda is in case you want to build this for yourself, and you'll have some knowledge about who your commander is, which is nice. In case you don't want to see that though, I do have a time code on screen now, so you can go ahead and skip right to the deck profile. For the rest of you, I'm excited. Let's jump into this. I'm Courier 6 of the Kaladesh Express, and this is Linda, Kandarian Queen. So I'm going to recap Linda's role in the Evil Dead 1 and 2, which the cards are based on. She appears in the first Evil Dead movie, portrayed by Betsy Baker, and recast by Denise Bixler in the second Evil Dead, which retells the story of Evil Dead 1 and Evil Dead 2, making it more of a reimagining, like that Lion King movie, and has like 12 minutes of screen time total until later installments, which I'm not going to spoil here. Linda was the girlfriend of franchise main character Ashley Williams, and after the two of them decide to go spend some time in the woods in a cabin that does not belong to them.
What if the people who own this place come home?
They're not gonna come back.
Ash goofs up and reads from a random book bound in human skin leather, the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. While reading the book, he is also playing a tape that recites the words in the book to summon the demons from Kandar, known as the Deadites.
Kanda, Estrata, Amantos.
Eventually, Linda is possessed by what is supposedly the spirit of the Kandarian Queen. Deadites are the main antagonists of the whole series, so effectively, Linda, Kandarian Queen, is a really important character from the Evil Dead franchise with a very minor role. I'm really hoping Wizards does this franchise again and does one based on the Army of Darkness, the third movie in the trilogy. Also, quick rant, but why wasn't Colossus Hammer a reprint of a chainsaw? The chainsaw that Ash is holding in his art? What the f, Randy? Let's start with our commander, Linda, Kandarian Queen. She's a 4/4 legendary creature, zombie wizard for 1, a white, a blue, and a black. She reads, whenever you attack with one or more zombies, draw that many cards, then discard that many cards, and you gain that much life. And she has an activated ability that costs 2 and exile 2 cards from your graveyard. Create a tapped 2/2 black zombie creature token. So as you can tell, our commander wants to fill the graveyard, make zombies, and gain some life. We'll focus on the making zombies and fill the graveyard parts of her text box. So creatures are going to be the bulk of our strategy here, and they break down into several different categories, some of which will overlap with one another, and the first category is going to be token producer. We have 7 simple token producers, those being Cryptbreaker, Gleaming Overseer, Nevinyrral Urborg Titan, Lazotep Chancellor, Diagraph Colossus, Headless Rider, and Cemetery Reaper. And these are really easy, no frills ways to create tokens. We do have 5 slightly more tricky and cute ways to produce tokens, those being Tobias Doom Conqueror, Tainted Adversary, Liliana's Reaver, Radadrabic of Urborg, and God Eternal of Ketra. And these ask a little more from us to create the zombie tokens, but they pay us off way more than the first set of token producers. And we have one final token producer that's kind of interesting, that being Tormod the Desecrator, who directly synergizes with our commander's second ability, which provides us free value. Next up we have our lords, because what would a typo deck be without them, right? We're not running as many as a typical zombie typo deck, but we are running some really good ones that fit within our budget. So as far as our lords go, we have 5 of them, those being Diagraph Captain, Risen Executioner, Death Baron, Lord of the Accursed, and Bladestitch Scab. And the nice thing about these set of lords is besides Bladestitch Scab, they all give us some kind of secondary benefit while being on the battlefield. Lord of the Accursed is especially useful here because being able to give all your zombies menace helps push through boards where people are going to have blockers and make it really hard to finish off games. The next category is going to be a bunch of our enter the battlefield / leave the battlefield / die trigger cards. And we're going to start with our mill cards. So as far as cards that mill us go, we have Mire Triton, Jizan Giralf, and Stitcher Supplier. We also run Ludovic Necrogenius. It's just that little bit of extra mill, but also takes advantage of our graveyard, because between all these mill cards and our commander's ability to cycle cards out of our hand, Ludovic can copy some pretty interesting things in our graveyard. But the value train doesn't stop there, because the next section is cards that give us value for doing ETB related things. Liliana's Standard Bearer is great card advantage for after we get board wiped.
Gary!
Or Grey Merchant of Asphodel and Wayward Servant join our commander in the life total manipulation game. And with Graph Reaver, we get a little bit of removal stapled to some typo synergies. We have a couple of recursion pieces up next, because it's not a zombie deck if you can't call ghouls. With our straight up recursion pieces, we only got 3, but 3 is all we need when it's Gravecrawler, Coffin Queen, and Mikaeus the Unhallowed. And with Coffin Queen, you get a little extra value stapled to her because she is a zombie with her errata, and she's secret graveyard hate because she can take cards from any graveyard. We also do incidentally just run the Mikaeus combos, so if you want to do that, that's also in the deck, but that's not what we're focused on. We have a couple more miscellaneous cards to round off our creature section, and some of them you're going to expect, but there's one I bet you aren't expecting. Let's round off our creatures with some of the ones you were probably expecting to show up on this list: Undead Augur, Champion of the Perished, and Grim the Corpseborn. I mean, really, did you even build a zombie deck if you didn't put Grim the Corpseborn in it? But here's one I bet you weren't expecting: the Flood of Mars. This is a really cool Doctor Who Universes Beyond card I found, and it is one of the most interesting pieces of removal I've ever read. It reinvigorates flood counters in a way that I didn't think was possible, and that's really cool. So that about does it for the creatures in the deck, and now we're going to talk about the enchantments, and they're mostly probably what you'd expect.
Klaatu, Barada.
Our enchantments include Endless Ranks of the Dead, Rooftop Storm, Oversold Cemetery, and Feast of the Victorious Dead. I'm also playing Griffin Airy because with our commander's ability we'll end up gaining a lot of life throughout the game, and having some flying creatures is not a bad idea. And because I don't have a better place to put this, I'm playing Liliana Death's Majesty, which I know is a planeswalker, but she is basically functioning as an enchantment in this deck. As far as our instants and sorceries go, every single instant we run in the deck is single target removal or a counterspell, and some of our sorceries are as well. And we run them like this because we have a board we want to protect. We really don't want to actually board wipe to remove things if we can avoid it. But we do run 3 board wipes because they're kind of unavoidable. You need some amount in Commander, and at least we're running under the average as far as board wipes go. Alright, we got quite a few instants and sorceries to get through, and let's start with the instants. We got Absorb, Counterspell, Deny the Witch, Dovin's Veto, Fateful Absence, Lost to Legend, Negate, Path to Exile, Permission Denied, Spell Pierce, and Swords to Plowshares. We have a couple sorcery removal pieces as well, that being Dark Salvation and Rite of Oblivion. Dark Salvation being pretty good as well because it functions as both single target removal and it builds up our board a little bit. We also have 3 board wipes, one being Destroy the Dead or Vanquish the Horde, one being Supreme Verdict, and one being Nobi's Incantation or Zombie Apocalypse. Zombie Apocalypse also doubling as a way to just win the game on the spot. We have one final sorcery in the deck as well, that being Unburial Rites. This is a pretty good sorcery because it allows us to use it twice to pull back big things from the graveyard with no downside. Seems pretty good to me. As far as the rest of the deck goes, we're keeping things pretty simple. We're running 37 lands and 4 artifacts, all 4 artifacts basically just being mana rocks. The 37 lands, again, aren't that interesting, but there are a few I want to talk about real quick. Alright, just a couple notes about the lands. So to begin, we're running all 3 of the hidden lands in our colors, that being Hidden Cataract, Hidden Courtyard, and Hidden Necropolis. We're running these because basically we'll be able to hit most things in our deck with them, and they're pretty good to get us back in the game after we inevitably get board wiped. We are a zombie deck after all. We're also running Field of the Dead, and I don't know if it's actually a fantastic card in this build of this deck, but it is on flavor and it did come with the secret lair, so we have to run it. The last couple of land notes I want to mention is that I'm running Mana Confluence and Takanumi the Abandoned Mire, and if you wanted to chunk a big bit of this deck's price off, like just real quick, you could run literally any other lands in that slots, and that'll save you about $60, so be aware of that. And that's about it. I hope you enjoyed this deck profile, and in case you're wondering why the whole video I filmed myself in blue is, an homage to what I remember the cellar scene looking like in Evil Dead. However, it's not as blue as I remember, but yeah, hopefully it's still a cool stylistic choice. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the deck profile. I wanted to shoot for a $200 budget. I think it comes in at like $189, so hopefully this deck's within your budget if you're looking for a $200 zombie deck. Otherwise, I hope you found it to be a cool Linda Kandarian Queen deck, which is also, you know, a goal here. If you liked the video, please go ahead and like and subscribe. It would mean a lot to me. I am going to keep trying to put out videos of this quality to the best of my ability. Be doing a Fallout deck tech sooner rather than later, and the modern deck featuring Ash will be featured at some point soon. But otherwise, I'm Curious6 of the Kaladesh Express, and I hope you have a fantastic day.